Слава Ісусу Христу! Всечесніші владики та отці. Добрий вечір. Мене звати Іванка Siolkowska і мені припала велика честь провести з вами час, святкуючи наших матурантів. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ivanka Siolkowsky, and it is my honor to be here today this evening to celebrate the graduating class of 2023. Woo, yeah! I know that we are here to celebrate Ukrainian achievements. However, to ensure that everyone understands and everyone is included, I will continue my speech in English, if that's okay. Ah, yes. Oh, yes, Ivanka, that's me, my Ukrainian school kindergarten class. As I look around this room today, I see a group of students who achieved a great milestone in the world of all things Ukrainian. That said, when I look at you, I don't see who received 100% on their final exam, or whose parents had to bribe them to show up every Saturday morning to Ukrainian school. What I do see is a group of young Ukrainians who are here today as equals, continuing an age-old tradition because they are proud of their heritage. In the end, there isn't one child here who is more Ukrainian than the next because of a test score. Please remember that. And as you go on in life, be proud of your individual accomplishments, yes, but also remember that we are called the Ukrainian community for a reason. As individuals, we have our strengths, but if the past year and a half has taught us anything, it's that we are stronger together. I recently returned from 15 months on and off in Ukraine, where I saw proof of this time and time again. And being a part of this experience made me realize how truly lucky I am that I was raised in a community with strong Ukrainian values and traditions. Many of our grandparents and great-grandparents came to Canada after World War I and World War II. And although they integrated into Canadian society where they had to, they also held on to who they were and where they came from. In my humble opinion, this was the single greatest gift they could have given us, because that gift continues to be passed down from generation to generation, even today, which is why we are all gathered here. I grew up hearing my grandparents' stories of the war, listening intently, but never in a million years thinking that I would live to see the day where we would be living it in real time. So that night, on February 24th, when the war hit, much like everyone in this room, I did not sleep. My eyes were glued to the television, and the feeling of, I need to do something, anything, hit me quite strong. That next morning, I joined up with a group of my friends at St. Javelin and started designing t-shirts. You may have seen some of my designs. Mine is not St. Javelin, but the other ones are mine. You may have even worn some of them, and if that is the case, thank you for your support. That said, once my designs were completed and selling, there wasn't much more for me to do. So within that first week, I hopped on a plane and flew to Poland. Quite the escalation of tasks, I would agree. What qualifications did I have? None, or so I thought. I'm a former elementary school teacher turned professional organizer. These aren't exactly skills one uses to prepare for war. But you know what skills I did have? Knowledge of the Ukrainian language, Ukrainian culture, and maps of Ukraine. Thank you to Plast and Ukrainian School. I didn't stay in Poland long. I was there only a week or so, where I helped unaccompanied minors and mothers with young children cross the border to safety to avoid the many human traffickers awaiting their arrival. I knew I wouldn't be able to stop them all. I'm not naive. But I took it upon myself to try to prevent the many women and children, as many women and children, from being trafficked as I could. Knowing Ukrainian came in very handy, because the traffickers waiting at the border did not speak the language. They were foreigners, so I was able to intercept the women and children by speaking to them in code, so to speak, and delivering them to safety. There's obviously a lot more to that story, but in a nutshell, that's what I did during my time at the Polish border. My plan was only ever to stay a week or two in Poland and then return home to Canada to continue on with my life. But within that first week, my plans changed, and I hitchhiked over the border into Ukraine. Again, my language skills being the VIP pass to anywhere I needed to go. I spent a few days in Lviv and then traveled further east, where I spent some time living in an orphanage in central Ukraine, pardon me. Once that area was safe and kids were back to living above ground, because we spent most of our time underground, here we are decorating a bomb shelter. Eventually, I made my way further east, all the way to the front lines, where I spent the better part of 14 months. Where did I go? Everywhere. If you've heard it in the news, I was there. I started this map by actually putting the pins of where I was, and then they were all so close together that you couldn't read anything. So this is my attempt at showing you where I was. The light pink is where I spent most of my time. What did I do there? Everything and anything. Each day, a new task different from the last. 14 months is a long time to fit into a 10-minute presentation, but you'll see the slides showing a few of the things that I accomplished during my time there. Upon arrival to the east, I first visited Bucha, where at City Hall they asked me, "What are your qualifications?" I said, "I'm an organizer, I'm a productivity consultant, I organize things." And they said, "Great, we need you at the morgue." This is a hard conversation to have with a Punjabi wedding next door, I apologize, but when I arrived in Bucha, never did I know that I would spend my first 2 weeks there organizing bodies to make sure that we found the families of who those bodies belonged to. I then began painting flowers over bullet holes in fences. Here you see Pan Sasha, who lost his son in the occupation. And he said, "I can't even walk by my house anymore because there are bullet holes in the fences, and they remind me of my losses." I didn't know how to repair fences, so I said to Pan Sasha, "Do you mind if I paint the holes so it makes it a little happier?" He said, "Sure." Then the little neighbor girl across the street came over to help. Within that first 2 weeks of painting flowers, I painted the entire street. I then moved further to do some volunteering cleaning up schools and areas that had been heavily bombed. I was given the task of building stairs at the church in Bucha. They said, "Ivanka, do you know how to build stairs?" I said, "I will figure it out." They said, "We have a VIP coming and it's a very steep hill." I said, "Okay, sure, I got this." The VIP was Bono. So there I am. That was my first task was building the stairs, and then they said, "Can you be security detail for the VIP?" Oh, and there I am in my St. Javelin t-shirt. I slept in some very interesting places. Saunas, tents on the front lines. Here I am sleeping underneath a bus where they store the luggage. I wanted to ensure that I wasn't taking up the space of anyone who needed it. So for those of you who have made comments that I spent my time in Lviv staying at fancy hotels, I assure you that is incorrect. I learned how to drive standard on an ambulance because they said, "Ivanka, we need to take an ambulance to the front. Can you drive?" I said, "I can." I got in and I looked and I said, I cannot. But I learned and I got it there. I was very useful in knowing maps of Ukraine because if you look at the signs here, they were all blacked out to prevent the Russians from finding their way. So thanks to Plast and my geography in Ukrainian school, I was able to make my way across the country. I helped with evacuations. I helped young children guard their houses. What you see in the photos is me smiling. But I assure you that war is horrific. I chose not to photograph the horrors because those moments will be forever engraved in my mind, and I didn't need the photos to remind me. This photo here, I was driving with a soldier one morning, and he passed me a grenade, which, by the way, are a lot heavier than one would think. And he said, Ivanko, trimaj, ale ne pchekaj. He said, hold this, but don't sneeze. I said, okay. And he chuckled. He said, you're not scared? I said, no, I took my vitamin C this morning. I should be fine. And we laughed, and he said, I like riding with you. He said, what people don't understand is that if we don't laugh, we'll hang ourselves. And this is one of the things that got us through every day. We sat the rest of that car ride in silence, feeling the impact of that statement. I've seen things that I'll never unsee, and I've experienced things that will haunt my dreams, probably until the day I die. That said, I don't regret a single moment of my time over there. When people ask me, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you put yourself through that? My answer was simple. These are my people. I was fortunate enough to work with Ukrainians from all over the country. It was fascinating to see the world through their eyes and to hear the history lessons from their perspectives, and to physically be in some of the most historic places in Ukraine with Ukrainci while they defended their freedom. It's an experience I don't take for granted, and one I'll hold near and dear to my heart until the day I die. Maturante, you've grown up hearing what it means to be Ukrainian. You've read about it, you've sung about it, and you've even lived it a little bit. But now, going out into the world, you have the opportunity to truly live it, to feel it. How you choose to do that is entirely up to you. One of my favorite things about being Ukrainian has always been the songs. Though it wasn't until standing on the very soil where those songs were written, singing them with soldiers in the trenches, or with plastune in the Karpate under a starry sky, that I truly felt the meaning behind the words of the songs. In each of those moments, the words were no longer just words. Ами нашу славну Україну, hey, hey, розвеселимо. A phrase I've sung 1,000 times growing up, but words I didn't truly feel to the core until I lived it. I now invite the graduating class of 2023 to take you all on a similar journey. And I invite you to not only hear the words being sung, but to feel them. Матуранти, я вас запрошую до співу. Дякую вам всім, слава Україні!